It is my favorite time of year. The NHL season is back, and specifically my team, the Toronto Maple Leafs, are ready to kick off their 2025-2026 NHL season, and for the first time in a long time, I don't really know what to expect out of this team. This year for the Leafs feels weird and different, and like it can go in any kind of different direction. I know everybody in Toronto, every Leafs fan is tired of talking about the core four, and now with Mitch Marner out of town, it no longer is a core four. However, over the last handful of years, with the core four of Marner, Matthews, Tavares, and Nylander, the expectations for the Leafs have been sky high. It has practically been cup or bust, and the team has unfortunately failed to deliver. But this year, now that the core four is broken up and Marner finds himself in Vegas, this team feels different, and I'm not sure it feels good different. So the expectations are a little bit more murky. I have no idea where this team is really heading on paper as we kick off the season. Now, don't get me wrong, this version of the Toronto Maple Leafs is still a very good hockey team with a lot of very skilled players. They still have Matthews, they still have Nylander, Riley's looking better, and they got Stolarz back there holding down the fort, of course. They're not going to be a lottery team by any means, but are they going to be a team that can compete to win the division? There's a lot of question marks and a lot of gaping holes that they really didn't address this offseason, which leaves a lot of question marks as we hit the ice. With all that said, I am going to put on my prediction hat here and give you my biased predictions for the Toronto Maple Leafs 2025-2026 NHL season. Last year, the Leafs finished with 108 points and won the division on the back of amazing goaltending from Stolarz and Wall. On paper, the Leafs really took a step back this year. They didn't have any huge free agency gets, nobody who immediately pops to mind to replace Mitch Marner on that top line, no one to really help get Austin Matthews the puck. They're going to need some time to adjust. They're going to need some time to find out what this team is and who they are this year. And for that reason, I don't think they're going to be that top team in the division. I personally think the Leafs could be a wild card team this year. I know the Florida Panthers are currently riddled with injuries, but I still think they're going to have a pretty strong regular season. The Tampa Bay Lightning look poised to be a much better team this year. Montreal is looking like a much improved team, and Ottawa is going to be right there barking at the Leafs' heels. So if the Leafs get off to a slow start or have trouble really finding that chemistry, especially with Matthews, or don't get the goaltending they got last year, I think they're going to struggle and just be kind of like an average middle of the road team. They're going to win games, but they're definitely going to lose games. And they're going to be in a lot of really tight, close battles. And it could end up with them being a wild card team. I don't even think they hit the 99.5 points projection that they have for this season. Even though I said the Leafs on paper look like a worse team than last year, and they could have a potential of ending up in the wild card slot, I think they are going to make a deeper playoff run than we've seen in the last couple of years, because I do think this roster is deeper and is going to be better for them when the playoffs roll around. And that's really what it's all about. The Leafs have won the regular season cup many times. They just haven't been able to get it done in the postseason. I think this roster is better constructed for that, and here's hoping Stolarz stays healthy and they can ride him to a nice deep run. Prediction number 2, I think Anthony Stolarz is going to have an absolutely amazing year. He's going to prove to the Leafs that he is capable of being the number 1 goalie, and he's going to make more than 50 starts for the first time in his career. Last season was a true breakout season for Anthony Stolarz, where he proved that he has the potential to be a number 1 goalie and a goalie that the Leafs can build on for the future. He had a 21-8 record and a league best .926 save percentage. He truly put this team on his back, stood on his head, and was the dog they needed between the pipes for a ton of last season. One could even make the argument that if Stolarz was healthy, there was a good chance the Leafs were going to beat the Florida Panthers and move on to the next round. Unfortunately, that wasn't the way the cookie crumbled. Stolarz got hurt, the Leafs get eliminated. But Stolarz proved that he has the capability of being an amazing goalie, and I think the Leafs are going to rely heavily on him this year. I'm hoping he can stay healthy. I'm truly thinking he's going to be able to. He's going to start a ton of games, coming off a fresh extension with the Leafs, so the Leafs show they have faith in him. He's going to want to keep putting up amazing numbers and keep backstopping this team to some big things. Prediction number 3, Easton Cowan is going to end the season in the top 6 with the Toronto Maple Leafs. And personally, I think it's going to be on the top line with Matthews and Knies. Cowan had a great training camp. Berube seems to love this guy. He's a hustler, he's fast, he's skilled, he can score goals. We've seen that all throughout his junior career with the London Knights, and he seems hungry and ready to take that next step of his career. He needs to play, and he needs to play with good players. So what better players to play him alongside than Matthews and Nyes? I personally am not convinced that Michelli or Domi are going to slot in on that top line seamlessly in any way, shape, or form. I definitely don't think Domi belongs there. Haven't seen enough out of Michelli, of course, but I do think Cowan can get some really nice chemistry going. He's young, he's skilled, throw him a bone, tell him to work his butt off, and he's going to get a top line on the Leafs. He's going to be hungry, and he's going to want to produce, and I think it's going to pay off for both Cowan and the Leafs, and he's going to finish the year in the top 6. Prediction number 4, I don't think Joseph Woll finishes the year as a member of the Toronto Maple Leafs. I know that may seem like an outlandish claim considering the Leafs had one of the best goaltending duos last year and they needed both Stolarz and Woll to get the job done throughout the season and in the playoffs. But heading into this year, I really think it's Stolarz' net to lose. He signed a 4-year extension with the team. He seems to be their goalie that they want to be number 1 in the future. Do they really need both Stolarz and Woll on big long-term contracts? I personally think Woll is that kind of expendable guy. A lot of teams out there need goaltending. There's rumors that the Leafs are not shy to pull off a big move this season, and they're going to need pieces in order to pull off that move, and I think Woll could absolutely be the guy who gets flipped to bring in a top 6 forward. The Leafs seem to have a little bit of an abundance of goaltenders at the moment. They claim Caden Primo off of waivers from Montreal, and they have Dennis Hildeby, who is currently their number 1 guy with the Toronto Marlies. We know that Hildeby needs to play, and being the backup in the NHL is not currently the right space for him, so he's going to get tons of playing time down in the AHL, although I wouldn't be surprised if he gets a few NHL looks this season, just to give his confidence a little bit of a boost, but he's primarily going to play a lot of games in the AHL, which leaves us with Caden Primo. We don't fully know what his ceiling is going to be. He didn't get a great long look in Montreal. He didn't do a lot there. But he could be a pretty capable backup goalie, especially if Stolarz is ready to take that next step and play more than 50 games for the Leafs this year, which I think they're going to want him to do. We know that Joseph Woll is away from the Toronto Maple Leafs right now as they have begun the season, and there's no real sign of when he's coming back. It's some kind of personal family matter, and that's totally fine. My well wishes are to Woll and his family, but I think this is going to be one of those situations where maybe the Leafs learn to live and be okay without the services of Woll, to the point that when he comes back, maybe they see that he's expendable and he could be that chip that they need to bring in someone pretty awesome. Now let's talk about the captain, Auston Matthews. Now we know Auston Matthews is a very talented goal scorer and usually has no problem putting the puck in the back of the net. It just seems to come naturally to him. Unfortunately, last year he did kind of struggle with that. I'm not going to lie, we all saw it. His goals and points were way down. He struggled with a nagging injury. He missed a large chunk of time and probably struggled with the weight of being the captain of the Toronto Maple Leafs. It's a pretty big thing emotionally, physically, and mentally, and maybe he wasn't quite ready for it combined with the injury. Anyways, it's a new season. The slate has been wiped clean, and everyone is hoping Auston Matthews is going to bounce back. I definitely think Auston Matthews is going to bounce back in terms of goals and points, even without his best buddy Mitch Marner. He's a natural goal scorer. He knows how to produce. He's a hard worker. He's become more of a two-way player as well. He's still got Matthew Nyes, and he's produced really well with Max Domi on his line in the past. So if the Leafs do decide to use Domi on that top line, they could find that chemistry again, and Matthews can put up some serious points. I think he bounces back to his 60-goal campaign from a couple years ago, but I do think he has a much better season this year. Scores at least 40 goals, if not close, inching up to 50, and just has a great year where he scores a lot. I'm anxiously excited for this Leafs season. I really, truly don't fully know what to expect. Like I said, in years past, the sky has been the limit. It was cup or bust. With this year's roster and this year's team, there's still so many unknowns and so many question marks. I do think they're going to be in that wild card slot, but I do think they could have a much deeper playoff run because their roster is better constructed. Hoping they go out and make a big move at the deadline. If they do so, I think we can say goodbye to Robertson, Domi, and maybe even Joseph Woll. I think Brad Treliving is going to be very busy trying to improve this team to see if he can get them over that playoff hump. I do think Austin Matthews is going to have a rebound from last season, maybe hit that 50-goal mark, which would be awesome, having a 50-goal scorer for the Leafs, maybe even get in some Rocket Richard conversation. We'll see how the rest of the league does, but if he puts up 50 goals, I think that's a win for the Leafs and Austin Matthews. Let me know down in the comments what your predictions are for this Leafs season, and let me know what you thought about my predictions. Obviously, I have my own bias here, so tell me if I'm way off base. I can handle it. I just want to have a good discussion about how the Leafs are going to do. We all love this team. I bleed blue and white for these boys. Every year, they reel me back in. I have the hope. I have the passion. And I'm hoping one of these years, it's going to end in a very, very good way. My name's Caitlin. I love talking sports. Do me a huge favor. Give this video a like. Feel free to hit that subscribe button if you also love talking sports or talking about the Toronto Maple Leafs. And let's get ready for an amazing Leaf season together. Thanks, friends.